So for this project, all you need is some worsted weight cotton or wool. Well, you could use acrylic. It's a mug rug or a coaster, so you can really use any kind of yarn you want. It's not going to matter too much. Okay. So I usually just go for cotton or acrylic, or wool, just in case you have like a really hot drink. Like the odds of you having something that's going to scorch acrylic and get it to melt is pretty low, but it's just, I don't know, maybe irrational anxiety about it keeps me cottony. Okay, so I've got cotton yarn, a size H crochet hook, and I'm just gonna start with a chain of 21. You can start with any odd number, so if you want a skinnier coaster or a bigger coaster, whatever you want to do, but I'm going to do 21. So now I've got 21 chains, unless I counted badly, which I don't think I did. So that last chain is a turn chain, and it doesn't actually count for stitch count. Now, if you're going to add a fringe, this is less important, but if you're not, then make sure that you are working into the back bump so that you have a nice V chain on the end of your coaster. So working into the back bump, skip one chain, and then pick up a loop in the next chain, and in the chain after that. So you have 3 loops on your hook. Now yarn over, pull through all 3, and chain 1. I don't know if this is a stitch that has a name. I've never seen it before. I'm using it in a top pattern I'm making right now, and I thought it would make a fun little coaster. Okay, now we're just going to do that all the way across. We'll pick up loops in the next 2 stitches. Maybe. I have a tendency to chain tightly, so it's a little hard. 1, 2, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches, and chain 1. 1, 2, okay, so we should actually still have the same number of stitches if you count the turn chain. So I finished here with that chain at the end of the stitch. That does not count as my turn chain. That is part of that row. So I'm going to chain 1 more for the turn chain, and then turn around. And now working back, I'm going to skip the turn chain, pick up a loop in that first chain, and pick up a loop in this stitch. And then I'll yarn over, pull through all 3, and chain 1. Now for each stitch after that, you could work into the actual chain up there, but it's really hard to get into. So I work in this space under the chain, right here. So there's this bar that kind of separates the stitches, so I'll pick up a loop right in here, and then pick up a loop in this stitch. Yarn over, pull through 3, and chain 1. So after that first row, the first row setup, I always hate working into chains, but after that it starts moving along really nicely. So again, I'm not going to work into the actual chain there because it's going to be tight, so I'm going to work into this space. So here is where I just worked into on the last stitch. I'm going to work in right here. Pick up a loop, and then pick up a loop in the stitch. Pull through 3 and chain 1. So I'm going to do this all the way across. I need a name for this stitch, so if you have any suggestions, hit me up in the comments, and I would love to hear your ideas. So here at the very end of the row, picking up in where the chain was, in this first stitch, I'm ignoring the turn chain there, because that's not something I need to worry with. So I'm pulling through all 3, chaining finishes that row, and then 1 more chain, and that's my turn chain. So again, you turn around, skip the turn chain, work into that last chain of the last row, and this stitch. And then you just keep going across. Alright, so I've done about 15 rows now, and at this point it's basically a square. So this is pretty much just regular coaster sized. It fits a cup nicely. So if you want it just to be like a smaller square coaster, you can stop after 15 rows and that's what you get. But if you want it to be longer for a mug rug, then you want to keep going a few more rows. Okay, so now I'm done crocheting the mug rug. It's 23 rows long. This stitch is a little bit weird to count rows. If you look, you see these vertical bars that come down. Those come down every 2 rows. So starting from the top, there's a row on the top and then the row with the bars. So if I start counting, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and then 23, my starting row. So I had 23 rows. It measures about 5 inches by 7 inches, which is definitely bigger than a standard coaster. So like I said, if you wanted it smaller, you could definitely do that. Now, if you want to add fringe, you're going to need to cut some pieces of yarn. I usually cut a whole bunch all the same size before I make the fringe, but since I'm just going to show you how to do it, I'm just going to cut one. So I've got this one piece of yarn. I'm actually going to cut it into 2 pieces right in the middle there. So now I've got 2 strands of yarn that are the same length. I'm doubling them up like this so that they're even, and I'm holding right in the middle. Now I'm going to go to the end of my mug rug, and if you care which side is the front or the back, then flip it over so the back side is on top. So I like the other side to be the front so that, I don't know, just seems like the front. Okay, so I'm on the back side. I'm just going to insert my hook in this chain on the edge, grab both loops of my fringe, pull it through, and now I'm going to pull all those tails through that loop and then just snug it up. And later you can go back and trim your fringe so it's all the same length if you want. And the reason I do this from the back is so that on the front you've got these nice little horizontal bars for the fringe. So you can just add fringe going along the edge if you want to, and then along the other edge. And then you're done. That's it. Well, I mean, weaving in ends, of course. I'm not going to leave those hanging. Happy crocheting!